The primary thing on my mind is this: the more exceptional, unique, extraordinary you become, by definition, the less you have in common with everyone else, the less you have in common with the average man, the further away you veer from the comfort of commonality. Success and personal development can be a fairly lonely road, especially if you have really big dreams. The further you take it, the more extreme and obsessed you become, the less ordinary. Let's take an example. A really good example is Mr. Beast. You see interviews where he used to spend all day long with a few friends who just all they did was look at YouTube, talk about YouTube, study YouTube. It was all they ever did. And he said he used to struggle having a conversation with the average person because he'd have nothing to talk about because he didn't know anything that was going on in the news, culturally, etc. So he had very awkward, uncomfortable conversations with the average man. So this is like an example of the maximum levels you can take it to when you really dive into an obsession and you just separate yourself from almost everyone else. There's almost no one that he was compatible with, let's say, other than his 4 friends or whoever, to talk about anything other than their obsession. The more you push the limit of what is possible, the more people and social norms must be thrown to the wayside. What is particularly painful about this, and that has kind of been haunting my thoughts, not to be overly dramatic, is that the understanding that relationships have been well reported to be the most meaningful part of life for human beings in loads of studies. So how do you determine the best ratio for you? How do you really work out where to draw the line? Your deep aspirations might not have the same goal alignment, let's say, with the most meaningful life, if relationships are one of the most meaningful parts of your life. So this is the sort of thing that I've been thinking about for days and days. And I have concluded that there's obviously a level that you take it to, and I would typically do a cost-benefit analysis of every single scenario I can think of. And then perhaps as I go on, just my threshold changes. So let's give an example. So if I was to do the equation, it would be the likelihood or the frequency of which I were to partake in a certain activity would be equal to how much I get from it. So like the connection, the joy, the memories, the expansion, divided by how much it actually costs me physically, how much the time cost, how much the emotional cost, how much of the success cost. And this ratio is what you determine your life around. And as time goes on, and as you become more and more obsessed and more interested in taking things to the absolute next level, your threshold for what is on the bottom side of the equation, the health and the self-sabotage, your threshold for how much that is an acceptable amount decreases. To be clear, because I haven't said it yet, you're obviously wanting to maximize this equation. So something that is extremely fun, extremely rewarding and memorable, staying up all night for one's crazy night of a new amazing person you met or whatever. If that is especially amazing and the health cost or the time cost is still really high, then it's still worth doing here and there. You're always optimizing for this ratio. And if, on the other hand, the actual enjoyment, fulfillment you get out of it isn't that great, like getting drunk every weekend or even every day, or I don't know how serious your life might possibly be, but these sort of activities that actually don't give you that much value and still give you like some health consequences, like the repercussions are still fairly decent, that is an activity you absolutely want to get rid of. So I guess the thing that really is causing me somewhat emotional turmoil is realizing that as I sort of become more strict, let's say, with this equation, or as I set my standards for what is acceptable for my life at higher and higher levels, I recognize that that's going to sacrifice some level of my friendships, a chunk of my time that I would typically spend with my friends. That chunk is going to become smaller and smaller. Some of the bonds may, as a result of my aspirations, sort of weaken, which is very sad. It is very sad. But that's not to say that I don't have amazing, great, supportive friends. I have so many friends that I absolutely love and I'm so grateful for. It's just some of the activities I just can't fully partake in anymore with where I'm trying to go. And I think everyone on their self-improvement journey has to come to terms with this at some point. However, to end with a bit of optimism, obviously this is only assuming that they do not choose to grow with you, which is also definitely a possibility. Then you can partake in more higher vibrational activities, and that would be amazing, obviously. The other thing is, on your journey, if you are in a sort of similar situation to me, or perhaps you don't even have properly good friends who are even supportive on the level that mine are, because I've only really starting to debate this in my own head after kind of projecting like a seriously high level of like health that I want to get to and other sacrifices. If you are one of those people, one thing I do have to say is, although as you enter on this journey, you will become less like the common man, you will have less interest with the average person, etc. However, the same sort of people that share your ambitions, these people, their friendships and the brotherhood that you could form with them is so much stronger than the sort of friendships formed on foundations of common, unimpressive, ununique traits and interests. By definition, because the other person is rare, let's say like you, the friendship is more valuable. Anything that is rare is more valuable. And so as you project forward in your life, you can look forward to far deeper friendships than you could ever imagine as a result of the level of ambition and the rareness. But anyway, God, this is a bit of a heavy video, so I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking along for the ride. I'm sorry if it's not been as concise as it could be. Perhaps I'll cut it down in the edit. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, like the video. Check out this other video I made on why you shouldn't care what the majority of people thinks and how to care appropriately when you should care. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully that does make sense. Watch the video and then you'll know what I mean. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Peace.